Hey everybody, this is Debbie O'Neill of Cricut Designs, and today we're going to talk about how do you do the knockout text using the I Love Glitter font that's so popular right now, and how do you do all of this in Cricut Design Space. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to open up a new Cricut Design Space screen. Okay, now you will need to have downloaded the I Love Glitter font, and I get mine from dafont.com. If you haven't already done that, then you need to follow my video instructions. I have in a separate video that shows you how to download a system font and get it into Design Space. So for all practical purposes of this video, we're going to assume you've already got the I Love Glitter font installed on your computer. All right. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to have a blank screen, and we are going to go into the text feature here in the side menu. And we need to pick a base word that we're going to use that we'll be doing our knockout out of, and we're going to use the word home. And I want these letters to be all caps, okay? And I am going to use, you want a nice big thick font for when you're doing your knockout word, your base word. So I'm just going to use the Cricut Sans font. It's a nice clean font. It looks good. I've used it before. It works really well. All right. So, of course, this could be any word. It could be somebody's last name or whatever you want to do. But for right now, we're going to do a knockout that's going to say home is our base word. Um, and I want to be able to cut this out on a 12 by 12 mat. I don't want to have to go to the trouble of getting my 12 by 24 mat out. So the dimensions I'm going to give you for this video, we're going to be talking about cutting everything on a 12 by 12 mat. All right. If you want to make it larger, go ahead and adjust according to working with the 12 by 24. So if you're using a 12 by 12, you know that we can only cut it to 11.5 inches. So I want to go ahead and make my image here 11.5 inches. So I'm just changing that. All right. So now we have this nice big font here. And when you look at your words though, you don't want to have these huge gaps between the letters. You want that to be a little bit closer together. So to do that, you're going to come up here into letter spacing here in your top menu and click the down arrow. And it's going to move or scrunch over your letters just a little bit for you. And I want to get it so it's pretty close in between the letters. I can still see behind the letters, but they're not touching, so don't make them touch. You want to make sure that you still have a gap between them. So that looks fine now. So I've got that. So I'm going to go back in now that I've scrunched them up, and I want to go ahead and change the sizing back to my 11.5. Now, for my sign that I'm making, it is a 24 width sign, and it is 6 inches high. So I want my word home to be about 3.5 inches or so. And by doing that, it's going to fit on my sign appropriately. All right. So you may need to adjust yours based on the size of sign that you're using, how high you want your letters to be. So I've got it set for right now. It is when I do 11.5 inches, it's 3.459, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to leave the dimensions there. Okay. So this is going to be our base word. Now, to do the I Love Glitter font and the words we want for that, let's move on to that next. So we're going to go and create another text box. Now, for the I Love Glitter font, you will go over here to your font drop down and come over here to systems, up here where it says system. So click system. And then in the search box, type I Love Glitter, okay? And you're going to have your I Love Glitter font will show up, all right? Now, you will have had to have gone ahead and, downloaded it on your computer, installed that font on your computer, and then when you log out and log back into Design Space, those system fonts are available for you to use. If you haven't done that process yet, watch my other video and to make sure you've got it in your Design Space account. All right, So now we've got our text box, we've changed our font to I Love Glitter, and now I'm going to show you guys a couple of tips for getting those beautiful little swirls and also how to get that heart that we want in the middle of our words. So you will, on your keyboard, there is a bracket that looks like this. It is just one bracket, and and it gives you the swirl. And then I'm going to type in, next to that, I'm just going to type in the word sweet, but I want this to be lowercase. Okay. And now I want to have that heart. How do I get the heart? I'm going to do a shift and do an underscore, and that's going to give me the heart. And then I want to do the word home. Okay. And then I want another swoosh on the end. So I'm going to do the bracket. So now you have a bracket, the word sweet, an underscore, and the word home, and then another bracket. Okay, so now you have it like this. I'm going to make this bigger so we can see it easier. And what I want to do is I want to make this large enough that I can see. I want to make sure I can see all my little loops within my letters. Okay, so you want to make sure that you've got this sized out enough that you're seeing the little loops inside your letters. All right. Now, of course, this looks there, it's too spread out. So we want to go ahead back up here like we did before into letter spacing. I'm going to click it, the down arrow, and I'm going to move these letters in until they're touching each other or close to it. Okay. And you can keep scrunching them. Now, what you want to do is be careful that you're not scrunching them so that they're overlapping each other too much. And you'll notice as you do this, it has scrunched most of them over perfectly. I can still see the loops on them, but we get down to where this E is here, and it's not quite touching that loop. So depending upon the words you're using, you may have to do this next step where I've got this highlighted, and I'm going to go up here to ungroup in my layers panel. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the letter, and then using the arrows on my keyboard, I'm just going to move that letter over until it's touching. Okay, now I did 2 clicks and it moved it over, and what's happened is you can see the end of that E sticking out on the side of the T. I don't want that, so I may have to just manually grab it and slide it over until it looks like one smooth line, as if you were doing cursive writing. Okay, so I want to do the same thing with the next E and move it over. But when I do 2 clicks again to move it over, now the end of that E is sticking into the loop of the other E. So I want to move it over. I'm showing you the mistakes as we go so you guys know how to fix it. So as you're scrunching your words, if it's scrunching it too much, you can just ungroup them, ungroup each letter and move them over manually. Okay, so that's what I'm doing until they're just barely touching. And I'll do the same thing with that loop because my swash. Okay, so but all my words are still, you can still see the loops in them. Okay, so I want to highlight the whole word, and the next thing I want to do is I want to come down here to my layers panel and I want to click the word weld. Okay, so now my loops, now my words are welded together, but when I did that, my E in the suite is closed up. I don't want that to happen. Now, because we have not saved this file, we can go do undo. So I did this intentionally so I could show you guys what we need to do. So we're going to go back in here and we're going to move our W over just a little bit. I'll have to move everything just slightly back. Okay, and now we're going to highlight it again and click weld. And we now have our E's, our loops are now all open. Okay, so if you do it and it looks like it fills in the loop when you weld it, you'll just need to undo it and you can move the letters again. Now you can only do that if you have not already saved your file. Once you've saved your file, sorry, you'd have to recreate it. All right, so everybody's clear on that. All right, so now we have, this is all one welded word. Yay for us. Um, and you can get a feel for how this is going to look over your word. Now I'm going to change my word to white, my background word to white now, so that you guys can see. Now I'm gonna be cutting this out of vinyl, and you could certainly cut this out of heat transfer vinyl if you want. I'm using outdoor vinyl to cut mine because I'm putting it on a sign. Um, but what I want to do is I'm going to kind of get a feel for where it's going to go on my letters. Okay, so I can kind of adjust it how I want until I get it so it looks good to my eye about where it would be cutting it out. And this is really just a matter of preference, so you can kind of play around with it a little bit. And I kind of like it like that. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to come up here to duplicate. I've highlighted that, and I'm going to make a copy. So where it says duplicate. So now I have a copy, and then I want to take that same word, and I am going to come over here to my layers panel. I've got one of them highlighted, and here in your layers panel you'll see that it's grayed. And now I want to change that word to a print then cut file. Okay, I know that sounds crazy. We're not actually going to print it, but this is how you do this. So we're going to hit the little scissors. It's going to open up our layer attribute panel, and you're going to change it to print. Okay, so now when you look at this one is the print file. Okay, and then you have the second one, which is the cut file that you're actually cut the vinyl. All right, so this is now our print file, and we are going to, at this point, go over to make it. Now don't panic. Nobody's going to be printing anything, so you don't have to worry about having a printer. It's just how we're tricking it to do this in Design Space. So you will notice that it came up and it gave us an error message that this is too big for it to do a print and cut, and we need to change the size of it. For print and cut, you can only print and cut something that's 9.25 inches wide or long, right, by 6.75. So what I want to do is I want to take the one that is your print and cut, make sure you grab the right one, and I'm going to change the dimensions on this one file to the 9.25. Okay. So now when we go to hit make it again, it will put it on the print and cut screen. All right. And don't worry about the rest of this. We're just going to say okay. Now, we're going to say continue, and it's going to take us to our print dialog screens. Okay. And there again, don't worry about it. You're not actually going to be printing it. Hang in there with me. We've got a couple more steps to do. And I want to say send it to the printer. Okay. So we're going to send it to the printer, and what we're going to do over here on the print setup screen, you need to make sure that your bleed is on. Okay. Cricut Design Space should automatically default so the bleed is always on when you do a print and cut. So it should be there already, but if for some reason it's not, you can just click this and toggle it so that this green is showing. And then we're going to take our mouse, and you want to right click on this piece, and you're going to say save image as, and then you need to go save it in your folder. I'm going to say Sweet Home. Okay, save it somewhere on your computer where you're going to know where to go get it. Okay, so I'm going to save it. Okay, and then I can just exit out of this, and I'm going to cancel Design Space. I'm going to cancel the print screen. So I'm just going to say cancel down here. It's going to come up and ask me, do I want to cancel it? Yes, I do. Okay, So we're going to get rid of this one, which was this print and cut that was already on our screen, so y'all don't get confused. So we're going to go ahead, highlight the one that's already currently here, and we're just going to click that off. We don't need it anymore. This is the one that is still your cut word, okay, that you welded together. We're going to leave this one here, so don't mess with that one. And now we're going to come over here to our upload in our side menu, and we want to go find that file that we just created. So we're going to go to browse and oops. Let's see, where did I put it? It's here. And here is the one I created that says Sweet Home. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to go into your upload screen. And then you want to do this, I'd usually just do the complex one. So I'm going to do complex, and then I'm going to do continue. Okay, now I may need to make this a little bigger so I can see it easily, and I want to grab my wand, my magic wand up here in the left corner, and I'm going to click on the background. I'm going to click within that's the box. Okay, so now we have, you'll notice that that word's there, but it's all fuzzy. That's correct, because it's got the bleed on it, so it's going to look fuzzy. Don't panic yet. Then come over here, up here in the left corner, and I want you to grab the little, it looks like a little square box. That's the crop tool. So we're going to click on that, right click on that, and then right click again and go just inside the line of the box and grab your word. Okay, just make sure you don't, let's see, that should be good. And you can, you can zoom in again, make sure that your word's there. That looks fine to me. Then I'm going to click continue. Okay, now it's going to give you two choices. It is automatically going to highlight that you're saving it as a print and cut image because we did a print and cut file, right? But we don't want that. We want to save the cut image. So we're going to click on that. So it'll be highlighted with the green box around it, right? The green line. And now it says save as a cut image. So I'm going to say, it'll say whatever the name was. So it's Sweet Home, and then I'm just going to put cut. Okay, just so I know which one it is. And then I'm going to say save. Okay, so now it's in my uploaded folder screen, and I want to click on this one. So we'll put another green box around it, and then I'm going to come down here where it says insert images, and I'm going to insert it onto my mat. And it's going to come in super tiny. That is perfectly acceptable. Don't panic. So now we have our cut word that's going to be a vinyl that we're going to cut out, the Sweet Home, the one that we welded together, and then we have the image that we imported in. And what you want to do is you want to take the word that you welded and you want to figure out where you want it to be on your design. I think it's still a little bit too long. So I'm going to change the width to 11.329. Okay, so once you get this size, so you know what the dimensions are, you want to write that down, okay? Because you want to then take the word that we imported in, the blurred word, and you want to make it the same length. Okay. We're going to move this down. We'll move this up. Okay. Now for just demonstration purposes right now, I'm going to change this black of the bleed line to a color so you guys can see it, okay? And then I'm going to take my word and I want to use the align arrange feature and I want to move it to the front. And when I go to lay this over that bleed, I want to make sure that that's going to fit. Okay, that looks like it's going to be perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to move this down. I have my bleed exactly where I want it, and I will now highlight my background word. Then I'm going to do Control and then right click the front word. Okay, so now we have the background word plus my bleed, and then you're going to get the option down here in your layers panel to do the slice feature. So I'm going to slice. Okay, and then it's going to do this, don't panic. And then you can just want to grab your big word, your background word, and then all the rest of this you can delete. Okay, you don't need any of this. Okay, and now we have our background, and then we have our other cut file. There again, I'm going to move this to the front so y'all can see it. So I'm going to do over here in Arrange, I'm going to move it forward so that it'll go on top. And then you can go in and lay that word in, and that is exactly how it's going to look when you cut it out of vinyl. All right, so whether it's regular vinyl, outdoor vinyl, or heat transfer vinyl, you can use this method. If you're doing a heat transfer vinyl, remember that you would have to mirror your image when you go to cut your actual vinyl out. I just want to make that clear. Now, once you've got your cut knockout image completed, if you want to add, let's say I'm making this Home Sweet Home sign, so I want to add a date on this sign. So all I'm going to do is go in here to the text box. I'm going to type in established and then a date. Okay, I want this to be in the Cricut Sans font so it matches my background font. Okay, and then there again, I am most likely going to scrunch this up a little bit because it looks a little too spread out. So I'm going to go into letter spacing and I'm just going to scrunch it over till it looks about the way I want it. Maybe just a little bit more scrunching here. That looks good to me. Okay, so then I would just cut this out. So I'm going to save this. So this would be if I was making a sign, I could add my date underneath. So I would have Home Sweet Home and then I would have my date underneath it. And I would just line it up along the edge of where my white home is and have that underneath it. So that's how I would do that part if you wanted to add a date to your sign. Depending upon how large your sign is and where you're putting it, you can certainly add the established date wherever you would prefer on your sign. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get more tutorials. And please come join us over in the Let's Learn Cricut Explore Facebook group or in my Cricut Maker with Debbie O'Neill group. And of course, you can always find me at scrapmequickdesigns.com. Have a great day. I hope you guys enjoy this. Cannot wait to see your projects.